Welcome to the Juniper podcast, where we talk about the more nuanced aspects of being a pet parent with some of the most interesting people in the pet space. Let's get into it.
We are here with Michael Baines of The Man That Rescues Dogs. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking with us. And you have a book coming out very soon, which we're so excited about. So can you give us just a little bit of background of who you are and why everyone listening should be so excited that we have you here?
Well, thanks for having me. So my name is Michael Baines. I am 56 years old and I've been living in Thailand since 2002. So it's 22 years now. I didn't rescue dogs at first. I started to rescue dogs in 2011, November 10 to be exact. And one dog showed up behind my restaurant and she looked in my eyes and said, "Please help me." That did. Oh, I'm kind of emotional. Maybe I look tough, but I'm a crybaby. So at that time, I was working alone. I had my restaurants. And so with her at my first rescue, she came back every day at 5 o'clock and had dinner. And I took her to a clinic after 5 days after I gained her trust. I healed her up.
That's amazing. You're making me emotional as well.
I know, thinking about that one dog that really changed everything for you and the course of your life, and then also changed the lives of now what is hundreds and hundreds of dogs that are being helped all the time by you. So I guess this is a long story, but how did you go from this one dog to where you are now, which is running this huge rescue?
Well, after I called her Mamuang. Mamuang means mango in Thai. And why do I call her Mamuang? Well, because I left her in the car. I actually had some mango, ripe mango, and she ate it. And then accidentally she threw up the mango. So she didn't like it. And that's why her name was Mango. So we do actually name dogs of the reason for the rescue sometimes. We rescued one dog that had a hook, a fish hook in the mouth, of course, named Hook. So anyway, Mamuang, yes, she was the start. And she actually didn't really care that much about dogs at that time when I moved here. There's dogs everywhere. I saw them, I acknowledged them, I moved on. But she changed the point of view for me, for the dogs. So I started to look at the dogs, really. And I saw one other dog. This was number 2. I was driving to the gym, I think. And I saw a dog lying in the middle of the street, older dog. And she's been hit by a car. He's been hit by a car. And you saw and I stopped. And I could see that it was a circle around the dog with blood. And so the dog tried to move around, but couldn't manage to do that because the fractured bones. That was number 2. And then you have number 5. That's 10. So yeah, up to today, 1,200 dogs in our care, 45 staff. So yeah, that's for one dog, from one dog, one little dog, become this massive hobby.
Some might go so far as to call it a calling.
Yeah, it's more than a hobby now. Now it's a call. I need to do this.
That's incredible, the way, like so many other things in our lives, where it can start with just one experience, one encounter, and then build and build and build until it's this almost unrecognizable thing. And the idea of connecting so deeply on a personal level with an animal at the start, and then that shift of perspective to have so much more empathy for all of the other creatures is something that really resonates with me. I've definitely experienced that with my own dog. And could you speak a little bit more to some of that emotional impact? How has your time with these dogs changed how you interact with the people around you and just the world around you as a whole?
So the first 5 to 6 years, I was working alone and I only fed the dogs on the streets back and forward from my restaurant. I also discovered more dogs when I was walking my own dogs in the forest. So I extended my feeding route. So it was like 80 to 100 dogs. And dogs live in the moment. I'm trying well, I'm not trying to live in the moment, but I try to embrace the moment, like be happy, don't drill in the past, move on. And that's what the dog have been an effect for me on my life. I do, of course, need to plan ahead because it's a massive organization. But I'm trying to live, day by day and being happy of what I have with my health. So the dogs have taught me that. I can only speak about dogs now. I don't know any about snakes or crocodiles or monkeys. So I can only speak about dogs. But they live in the moment, and every day when they wake up, it's like a Christmas for them. They wake up, they look around, they look at me. Hey, daddy is home. Oh, my buddies is here. All my buddies, and soon we're gonna go for a walk. And that's kind of fascinating for me that they one day is Christmas every day for them. I'm not saying I live like a Christmas every day, but I don't know. They taught me to appreciate what I have and not ask for, not want to have a lot of things. You cannot have a lot of things when you have 15 dogs. I did have a sofa one time. That's an ex sofa now. I think that also dogs have made me more. I've never been a bad guy. I've always been a nice guy, but I think that made me more nice than I have been before. So yeah, a lot of benefits.
Yeah, I think that it's so impressive to see how they really do live in the present and bring us in the present. I think everybody can feel that a bit. Can you talk a little bit about, you take on these tough cases sometimes. You have the wheelchair mafia dogs that everybody knows and has seen on social. If you're not already following the account, we'll have it linked in the podcast. But like, is there ever decisions you have to make about what dogs you can take in? Or are you just like, we're taking in really hard cases and we'll just deal with it?
Let me just talk about one of my dogs that is the OG of the wheelchair mafia. And I'm going to cry now. So just be prepared of that because his name is Cork, and Cork is actually Coca-Cola in Thai, but we don't say Coke here, we say Cork. Cork lived outside a gated community where I used to live. And when I walk my dogs every day, and that time I only had 5, that was the day. So we met him every day. He was a puppy around 6 months old. His ears was too big for his head. He had always had eye infections, and he was always happy. And then one day I didn't see him, and I asked the owner where Cork was, and she said he was been hit by a car, a motorbike, and paralyzed. So she yelled, "Cork, Cork!" And he came from under his house and on his front legs, just as happy as he has always been. And I offered her to make a wheelchair for him. The next day I arrived and she asked me, "Can you adopt Cork? Because I don't think I can handle it." I said, "Sure." I didn't even think about it. I said, "Yes." I brought him home. I built a small ramp outside my house so he can scuff himself up there, and got a wheelchair from a university. And he was my boy for 10, 11 years. He passed away. Oh, it's hard. He passed away 6 months ago. And he had pancreatitis. So he went from 25 kilo big handsome boy to like 10 kilo dog, just skin and bones, but still in good mood, So that was the start of us taking in dogs that needed, the paralyzed dogs. So Cork, he made this happen, the wheelchair mafia. He's the OG, and he's dearly missed every day.
His legacy is so strong, and like that is so cool to see that the type of work you do is like the love we have for our dogs and the loss we feel is so intense. But your dogs have these legacies that change the world for so many other dogs. And I think that that's such a happy part of the type of work you do. A lot of people that listen to this podcast really love dogs, want to get into more rescue work. We hear it all the time that people want to foster or adopt more, but they're afraid of getting attached or afraid. Like, I think people are afraid of their feelings, but you seem so connected to your feelings with these dogs. Is there any secrets to that, or is it just living life and like loving dogs and it takes care of itself to some degree, feeling the feelings?
When I took in Cork, first I was thinking, what am I doing? Can I handle this? Because, I mean, for me, it's more like I thought it was a lot of work, but it's not. The only difference between him and a normal dog is I have to empty his bladder like 4 times a day and put him in a wheelchair twice a day for the walk. And that's it. So the extra job is not there. Also, keep in mind, if you don't like dogs in your sofa, in your bed, or jump up on you, get a paralyzed dog. They cannot jump up in the sofa. Problem solved. So for me, that was my thoughts first. And I'm so happy I choose to adopt him. For the rest of the gang here, I think we have now 44 dogs in wheelchairs. I call them the wheelchair mafia. They have their own logo. And they're still dogs. They bark, they fight, they eat, they poo-poo, they pee-pee. They do everything as normal dogs do. But as I said, the only difference is the bladder, and they cannot, you have to put them in a wheelchair. It's worth it.
I feel like it's so incredible to see an animal who has come down on their luck in that way, and then to be able to help them and have them be so, like you were saying earlier, so present in the moment and so happy about it. We nowhere near to the degree that you have done, of course, but my husband and I have fostered 2 different dogs with broken legs. And that experience of just seeing them be so excited to do whatever activities we could offer that were safe for them to do while recovering, it's so motivating, and it makes it feel so worthwhile because you're never wondering if it's worth it to them. And because it's worth it to them, it feels so worth it to us, such a joy that we can provide those experiences. Can you share a little bit about how do you decide if dogs are going to live at the sanctuary and, be your dogs? How do you decide if they're getting adopted out? What is that like?
So if you're speaking about in my own family, this gang, the 15 I have, apparently, as it seems like, I have a hard time saying no. So I have 6 dogs that passed away during the past 3-4 years, which is, of course, normal. I mean, nobody gets out of this alive, and dogs live a shorter lifespan, and I give them the best of their life when they stay with me. How I choose them, I think they choose me. I also actually ended up with most of my dogs before I had my sanctuary. But my dogs aside, let's say that we have a case that we have a rescue on the streets. If the area is safe from bad people or a lot of traffic, we fix them up and we let them go home to their place. So that's number one. We see what's the environment like when they stay. But also we have to keep in mind that if you remove a dog from their area and maybe they have to be here a month, it's dangerous to put them back. Because the pack, maybe they don't recognize the dog or don't accept it again. So this is also, it's about time also. So that's number one. Second is if we have space enough to keep the dogs. Right now, we are over full. We're working on overcapacity. We are expanding, but it's not done yet. So that decides is number one. Is it a safe area for them to go back? And what's the severeness of the case? If the dog is paralyzed, of course they have to stay. If the dog have a bite wounds, then they go back. If they can. It depends on why they got bitten. But then other cases, case by case.
Can you talk a little bit about the street dogs and maybe some of the myths there? I spent 2 months in Thailand shortly after I graduated college, and coming from the United States, I had only ever been in the United States. And the experience of having dogs on the street was not something that I grew up around or had any exposure to. And during my time there, I learned a lot about the differences in cultures and the differences that I think from an Americanized point of view, it's often you imagine a dog on the street and you think that that's the worst place that they could be. But that's not how it is in every part of the world. And street dogs have been part of human society for so long. So could you share a little bit for our American listeners about sometimes what this looks like and why that really is the best place for the dog to go back?
Yeah, as you say, this is quite a good point that when people talk about stray dogs or street dogs, they often like, oh, they live on the street, and everything like that. But sometimes the street is better than a shelter. And they've been maybe living there. They're born there, or they live there for all their life, and they don't know anything. It's their home. It's their home in their mind. And why should we take them away from their home if there's no danger, if they have food, if they have shelter from rain and sun, and they have water? That's fine. When I moved here in 2002, when I came on vacation in 1999, I saw the stray dogs, but I wasn't really paying attention to them at that time. I moved here, I started to see them more and more, but they didn't cross my mind. Like, I saw a dog, okay, that's a dog, but that's it. But my mom changed my mind about this. And when you live here, it's a part of society. There are people that are mean to the dogs here, of course. Everywhere in the world are mean people. There are also very good people, like in every place in the world. And then you have the people that are very good, like myself, or a little bit crazy, like myself, who cannot drive out and not stop when you see a dog in having hunger or something like that. So that's me. So most of the people here are okay. They don't beat the dogs. They don't hate them. They don't love them. They just there. And most are friendly. But then you have this small clique of people that are mean and bad. And it takes only one idiot to destroy everything. And that's the sad part. But I do understand them. Let's say you have a shop and you have 4 dogs lying in front of the entrance and people are scared to walk in. You don't want the dogs there. But it's not the dog's fault. They don't know better. You cannot put up a sign with no dogs allowed and expect the dogs to read that, But I've seen that sometimes. So most of the people here are okay. They're good. They're okay. They feed the dogs, give them water. So if you don't have this bad person in the area, I think the dog are better off to stay in the area where they've been living for months or years. Yes.
I'm curious to know, how did you go from rescuing dogs one-on-one and then adding more as you went to actually forming this into a whole organization, raising money, running it, managing employees? Did it grow naturally to some degree, or was there a point where you were like, this is what I have to do and I'm going all in on this?
Your question is, where did it go wrong? When did I want to give up my life and start a new life? I would say that. 2016, there was a clip on Facebook, on Newsner platform, and it went viral. We had almost 200 million views. This is 8 years ago, 200 million views in a month. And people started getting more interested in what we do. They started to notice what I'm doing. We got more donations. And at that point, I rented a house and I hired staff and we took in more dogs. That was the turning point. Otherwise, I would probably still feeding dogs on the street, 80 to 100 dogs a day, taking in some, going to the clinic, and still running my restaurant. So I did this for 2 years, 2016 to 18. I did both. So I opened up my own place in 2013. So from 2013 to 2018, I was almost 6 years. I didn't have one single day off. I had my restaurant. I was purchasing food, baked the bread, do the menu, did the finances. I did it all, which was fine. I liked it. I'm a very high-driven guy. I want to have some things to do. But we have limits. And my limit was also because I had a stroke. I had a TIA a few years earlier because of stress. And at that time in 2018, I had so much. I took over the local shelter in 2017. Then I started to have more staff and more stress. So in 2018, my choice was cooking for dogs or cooking for people. I choose dogs. I closed my place.
Speaking of your book, that's a great segue. So it comes out on International Dog Day, which is August 26th. And some of us might get to read it a little bit early if we feel special. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Can you talk about what it was like to write this book? I know that it's a deeply emotional work, and that going through that experience and recounting everything has also been an emotional sort of roller coaster.
Yes. People have asked me, why don't you write the book? I said, who will read about my life? Who's interested? But apparently there are a few. So I came in contact with Samantha on Hey Witchcraft, my publisher, and they were interested to release the book and help me write the book. And here we are today, and it's been taking way over a year. I think we have a year and 4 months totally. And it's been an emotional roller coaster, as you said. I had to dig very deep. I'm exposing myself with things that maybe some have known about me, most have not. But it's a story from before I was born, my mom, my fighter mom, my superhero, and growing up in Sweden. I'm actually born in Scotland. And when I say that to people, they say, no, not with that accent. No way, So yes, it's been an emotional roller coaster, but it's been fun at the same time. I also learn a lot about myself. And also people in my surroundings, my work colleagues, they say I've changed to the better. So yeah, I'm looking forward to read it myself.
Here at Juniper, we make content for your favorite pet brands. We're 100% women owned and operated, and you can hire us to create your articles, blogs, videos, email marketing campaigns, lead generation guides, and more. Visit us at www.juniperpet.co to learn more. Thanks for listening. As we take on dogs, they really help us grow. How do you think the dogs have helped you grow or change as you get older?
I think I have a very high drive. I'm very stubborn, which is good when you do business, or you have a foundation or a restaurant or whatever it is. So my drive is really high, but I think that my drive had been too high for the society I live in now in Thailand. That probably explains the stroke or the TIA, probably explains my 2 bleeding ulcers. One led to a blood transfusion. That's also stress related. So they have calmed me down. I'm more relaxed. I don't take on too much work. I delegate. I always been delegating, but I delegate more now, which is good. You should do that. I have a great team, and they should be feeling they're part of what we're doing now, because it's not me, 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 me. I don't want that. I do want the foundation to glow, not me. My glowing days is done. Okay, the book is okay, but after that, I let my dogs and the foundation take the spotlight more and more. And that's what I'm working on now. And have all the staff be in the spotlight, meet visitors or going on exhibitions. And so I'm not stepping away, but I'm trying to let everyone have the chance of glow. So anyway, the dogs made me more relaxed, except when they're fighting.
So what does a typical day for you look like now? You mentioned earlier that you often work until like 9 p.m. How does that play out day in and day out?
Well, my day starts at 5 a.m. I wake up and I have to wake up my dogs because they look at me, dude, it's only 5 a.m. Like, yes, it's time to wake up. But they're excited to wake up. As I said, it's Christmas. They look at me, I'm there. I get a few kisses in the morning from a few dogs of mine. I have 4 or 5 dogs in my bed when I sleep. That explains the single life also, which is fine. So wake up, have a cup of tea, 2 cups of tea, beating of messages, emails, planning the day. At 5:45, I have my staff. Few of them come to my house, and then we walk my dogs, and we usually walk 12 of them. One is blind; she cannot walk during that walk, so we walk around 30 to 40 minutes, run around in the backside jungle. Home, breakfast for the dogs, breakfast for me, and about 7, I walk around the area and make sure that everything is fine. 7:30, we have a morning meeting with admins and the veterinarians. And after that, it's whatever happens, I'm there. So most of the time are just making sure that everything is fine, everything is okay. Up to lunch, I have lunch at 11, and then I take a nap, a siesta from 12 to 1, which is my recharge time, which is great. And after 1 o'clock, do the same, meetings or work or visitors. About 3 o'clock, walk my dogs again, come home, and I do 30, 40 minutes lifting weights, exercise. I do have my gym in my house. It's there next to my office. Not everything is near in my house. This is my bedroom, my office, and my gym. And I cook dinner. So about 6 o'clock, I start to work again. To about 9 o'clock. Usually maybe interviews, or I have numbers going over that, or emails. It's my quiet time. I do this 9 days in a row. Then I have 5 days off. I go to Bangkok. I get out of this place. It's only me, my alone time. Because I have dogs 24 hours, 24/7 here. I have staff 12 hours a day in my house. So that's what I do. And I appreciate that a lot. I need it.
I really love the way that you're able to reconcile at the same time caring about your own well-being and having this time for yourself and making the time for it, and then still having such a clearly you had me in tears 3 separate times on this podcast. You are so invested in your work and you do such an incredible job, and yet you also take the time that you need to take for yourself, because that's what enables you to keep doing the work. And I think that's something that anyone who loves their dog, loves their animals, and feels like sometimes they forget about themselves in the process of caring for their dogs, I think that that sort of permission to also prioritize your own well-being is really valuable to hear.
I think you must do that. I didn't do it before. There's probably a reason why I had bleeding ulcers and TIA and other stress-related symptoms, of course. And if you don't take care of yourself, how could you take care of others? That's common sense. But some people, not now so much, but when I start to take time off, and I didn't do it like 9 and 5, before was 11 and 3, 10 and 4, and I expanded it to 5 days. I think I'm worth it. I'm worth it. So I did it. But some people like, oh, you're having days off. Who's going to take care of the dogs? But I have a wonderful team. And it's not that when I leave, it's like, is it gone yet? And just like, and they sit down and do nothing. That's not happening. They still do their job. And I have a great management on site who, one girl, Ying, she's mentioned in the book a few times. She's my operative manager. She's the one that's going to take over when I cannot do this anymore. And you have to think like that. And so when she's there. Or my buddy Chris, he's here. He's doing the social media and volunteer program. So he's here. So we do switch every second weekend off. So he's week off now. And when I'm off, he's here. And then I have the admin and I have the staff. Everyone is working. They know what they do. And I think that I've accomplished it. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the team I have behind me. I couldn't do it without them, of course. We all need to help each other.
Yeah, you must have a great team in place, but also it's great leadership to see that you've laid this out. You're even thinking about who's going to take over, thinking about how you and your other managers and teammates can have time off so that this can go on and you can keep doing this work is so smart. It's such a lesson in like being able to do a long haul, really, really tough job like this and stay in the game. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm sure this is just like a little bit of what the book has to offer, but I'm super excited to read this whole book. Can you tell us a little bit about two things? One, where everybody can go to help support you, where they can get the book, and what the best way is to support the rescue and the work that you're doing.
Okay, so let's start with my foundation. You can find us, you can have our website, it's tmtrd.org. And there you have the links to all social media. So we're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whereas YouTube, and it's most TMTRD, or search for the man that rescue dogs. We rely on donations, 100%. We don't get any support from the government. The local government do support us. We do not pay any rent on site here. They help cover the cost for water and electric. And they support with dry food for about 6 months a year. So they support us. But the big government, no support. So donations are much welcome. We do spend about $1,600 a day to cover all this. So it's an expensive little hobby. To sign up and to have more information about my book that is going to be released on 26th of August, you can sign up on the newsletter on my publisher's website, which is heywitchcraft.com. And you get all the updates there.
Thank you so much. This was an incredible conversation, a great way to start our mornings and hopefully not a bad way to close out your evening.
Of course not. I had a wonderful time. So great to talk to you guys, and thank you for having me. And whenever you're in Thailand.
Oh, I would love to come see it someday. This is so amazing.
Yeah, we do accept volunteers. So if you are listening and you are about to travel to Thailand, you can come and volunteer for a few days, or you visit us. And we have all the information on our website. So you are much welcome to come and visit us. We love visitors. You meet Buster and the Wheelchair Mafia.
Oh, that is a dream to go meet them someday. Oh, thank you so much for sharing all this, and thank you for being here. And thank you for all the work you do. It's really inspiring to see.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's all for today. To learn more and discover the best hand-picked pet products, visit Juniper at www.juniperpet.co.